Wait, whoa, what's going on here? Is this, are we reviewing a game or something? I don't see a game there. What's... Man, is this a dream or something? Am I dreaming right now? What's going on? This is kind of crazy. Oh wait. Oh yeah, I know what we're reviewing. We're reviewing Klonoa, Door to Phantomile on the PS1 there. Uh, I guess. I mean, the game's not there. Well, that's because the game is worth like $300 or some shit. Probably more than that, actually. I don't know. I haven't looked it up in a minute, but it's really expensive. It's one of the most expensive PS1 games. Everyone thought... You think fucking Tomba's expensive. Jesus Christ. Klonoa is really expensive. And all of the Klonoa games are really expensive. Even the Game Boy Advance ones are like 40 bucks each or whatever. So there's the two Game Boy Advance games. There's a, what do you call it? The Wonder Swan game. There's a volleyball game in Japan or something. I don't know. But I do want to play the other ones. There's a PS2 game, which is the sequel. Also expensive. Um, I'm probably just going to emulate the rest of them, to be honest. But I do want to play them at some point. This was a good game. And I like a lot about the game. I was recommended the game by many of online people. Probably like earliest Pete Dorr from the All Gen Gamers podcast. He used to talk about the game a lot. One of the things he talked about was when a question came up that's like, what are some games that made you cry? And his was like Shadow of the Colossus and the ending to Klonoa or whatever. And I'm like, really? Like, how's that gonna, like, make a person cry or whatever? And I just figured it's one of these really emotional, satisfying, nostalgic sort of endings like Tomba. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good ending. The story overall is fairly good for just a basic platformer sort of game. I mean, it's nothing mind-blowing or anything, but it's cute and but it kind of goes places and explores the concepts of dreams and whatnot, which is something that I really am fascinated by. It's one of my favorite things to kind of learn about or like just hear theory about because we really still don't know what the purpose of dream is. Uh, I mean, I was writing a whole book about it at one point, so there's that. I mean, I guess I'm still doing that. I just haven't in a while. But point is, I'm fascinated by dreams, and so when this game started, with that concept of things, you're in this dream world or whatever, and all that, and you're fighting a nightmare, basically. It's kind of like Kirby when you think about it, which is funny, because it's also very similar power to Kirby, where Klonoa can suck in, and he doesn't really suck them in, but he kind of grabs them and then like turns them in these balls that he can throw at enemies and whatever. So that's pretty cool. But it kind of reminds me of Kirby, how he sucks in the enemies and then spits them back at guys, like in the original Kirby on Game Boy there. I mean, he has the power in all the other games. It's just like in the other games, he can copy the power and start using that. Um, but there's a lot to like about the game. The aesthetic immediately stands out as like one of the most vibrant and colorful, aside from like Tomba or something, aesthetics and really eye-popping sort of graphics on the PS1. Very sort of similar to Tomba and the sort of the, what do you call it, the background, I forget what the parallax scrolling sort of thing, sort of like some of the backgrounds in Tomba and stuff like that. It's really well done, and visually the game is really quite appealing, I would say. And a lot of the areas have different styles, but the level design always kind of stays similar to each other. It's just platforms, and then like you're kind of just following a path, but sometimes it has like varying paths, and you can like branch off and go to different ones first and try things and do it in whatever order. So that's interesting. There's some variety there. A lot of it is figuring out these puzzles with perspective. Like you could throw things in the foreground and the background behind you, and then like up and down, and you can jump higher by throwing certain things. So sometimes you'll throw a thing and immediately have to grab another enemy to keep throwing so you can get to a higher platform. Just a lot of stuff like that, and hitting switches and whatnot. So there's a lot of puzzle element to the game as well. So that's pretty cool. And they pretty much get all the mileage they can out of that concept as well. So that's really cool. And I like that. So yeah, pretty much all the gameplay is great. You know, and the thing is, it starts off really fairly easy, and you're just like, oh, this is fun. It's a cute little, you know, platforming game. And then you get to like, I don't know, like halfway through World 2, and you're like, oh shit. This game's not a baby's first platformer like I thought. This game is going to get fucking hard, and it gets fucking hard from there on out. It just gets really, really hard. It's not like Rayman 1 levels of hard, but like it's just like old school, like you gotta retry this part a bazillion times kind of hard. To be fair though, it does give you a lot of checkpoints throughout the level. It's just some of the levels are really long, and if you run out of lives, you have to continue and you start the whole level over again. So it's really about getting good at the level. It's not super unfair in the difficulty or anything. I think the difficulty is pretty fair for the most part. Some enemies are kind of a pain to grab onto and stuff, and you kind of have to do things perfectly. But it's like that old NES mentality where you just have to run through it perfectly to kind of get it to go. So there's that. You know, and I'm not fucking afraid of a challenge. I beat like 120 or some shit like that NES games, and like probably half of those at least were like some of the hardest games ever. So, you know, I'm not straying away from something like that. It just took me longer to beat this game than I would have liked because of the challenge. Initially, I wanted to have reviewed this game and put it out before the end of the year, which I am technically doing. It is the 26th right now. So, but the review won't go out until... That's fucked. That's fucked. That's fucked, because the review could have came out today, but I ended up, like, putting a different review that was going to come out in the future out today. I think it was the Ready Player 2 review or something, which, you know, I did weeks ago, but, like, I just was spacing the videos out, and I did finish this today, but it's not going to go out until in the new year. I'm still going to count it towards my best game, or, you know, the top 30 games. This is why I was so gung-ho to beat this game for the end of the year. I wanted to have top 30 games and not top 29 games or whatever. Like 30 new games that I actually beat. So I actually beat 30 games this year that are new. I beat probably, shit, I don't know, like 60 games that aren't new. You know, like altogether, new and old games. Like, I did a bunch of replays, so definitely beat a bunch of other games as well. But yeah, so point is that I beat this game, so that's good, and I'm glad I did. And it was an overall enjoyable game, but a fucking challenging one. And that's all good, and that's all well, and I like that, and I'm glad it challenged me, you know? So, just don't go in... The first few levels are pretty deceptive about the difficulty and how easy it is. Hi, buddy. He's really loving the head scratches today. So yeah, the gameplay is cool. I like a lot of the puzzly elements to it. It's challenging, but I like the art of perfecting my gameplay on levels and just kind of grinding through. I like games like this because they're the kind of games where you can put something on the other screen and listen or watch it and not have to necessarily focus on the game. Like, you focus on the game, not focus on this thing. You can half focus on that and half focus on the game because you're just trying to perfect the craft of going through a level. Like Rayman, for instance, what I used to do is that same exact thing. I would just, it'd be too boring to just do the level. You would always have something on in the background. And I like games like that. Or just grind games like RPGs and stuff. I don't know, I'm just into that because I like getting multiple things accomplished at once, sort of thing. I think that's cool. There's an art to that, you know. And there's also a lot of satisfaction in sitting down and focusing on a thing too. You know, watching a TV show or playing a game that you have to be really invested and engrossed in, like a Metal Gear Solid game or something. Yeah, even those, you know, nowadays, if it's like the gameplay bits, I'll put something on the side, you know. Obviously, I pay attention to all the story stuff, but, you know, not that I don't pay attention to the gameplay. This is totally off track of the thing. Anyway, I like that about Klonoa is that it just feels like kind of an old school sort of, you know, side-scrolling thing, but it feels like something you could only do with the technology of the PlayStation, but it still has a lot of the old school feeling and mentality about the level design and the gameplay and stuff. I just think that's cool. So, yeah, so the gameplay's good. There are a lot of, much like old school games, what could be considered cheap deaths or just like bottomless pits like everywhere. And there's like this part in like one of the last levels, it's like the second to last level, I think, where you're like jumping on these like such minuscule platforms, and there's enemies jumping at the same time as you, and if you don't grab them, you'll get hit and likely fall off. And you have a jump, and you have kind of like a almost like a Luigi, like how he kind of floats, you know, not like floats, but he like, woo, he has like that little extra you know, glide or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a glide, it's like a shimmy in the air to kind of keep you going. It's almost like Yoshi, that's what it really is, like Yoshi in Smash Brothers. Like that's what he does. It's not really floating, but it's like that, woo, you know how Yoshi does that thing in Smash Brothers like that, you know, like he has that extra little layer to his jump there. That's kind of what Klonoa does. Maybe y'all know what like the word for that is, but I can't think of it at the moment. So anyway, yeah, I guess I should say, like, aesthetically, Klonoa is also fucking adorable, and everything about the world and the characters and stuff is fucking adorable. And I think a lot of the character design and stuff, and just because it's like the same style sort of graphically, it kind of reminds me of the Tomba style, and because it's like this side-scroller thing that has like the same kind of background. It has a similar aesthetic, but not exactly. But I just can't help but feel some similar things about the aesthetic there. Now, okay, not to knock Klonoa here. Of course, I'm gonna prefer Toma's aesthetic and its world design and whatnot. And you know, I prefer that style of gameplay. It's sort of an open world side-scroller thing. I wasn't really expecting that from this game, but a lot of people have made the comparison between the two games, so I'm just like, you know, I'm not trying to make those comparisons. I'm just saying, like, that's a thing. I don't know. But I do like the character designs and whatnot, and the enemy designs, and just, like, everything looks nice, and everything's really cute. And then they can also have the darker levels where they just, it's different. So it has a nice variety of that kind of stuff. I guess in terms of difficulty, I should talk about the bosses. I had a really tough time with the hardest boss of the whole thing, I think. And it wasn't even the final boss. I mean, that one was kind of hard, but it didn't take me multiple like days to get that one done. I did that all tonight within a few hours, so not too bad. The final boss. It has like 3 forms though, and it's just like after the second form, like okay, so clearly they can't expect much more of me, right? And then there's a whole third form. It's like, oh geez, but it was cool. It was very satisfying, like final boss. I like that there were multiple forms and whatnot, but and even before that, there was kind of like you fight a similar, like you would almost think it could be the final boss, and then they have like a fake out kind of thing where they're like, oh no, this thing's back, and you're like, so then you have to fight the real final boss. Anyway, a few bosses, it might even just been the boss before that. There's this one where it's this circular, you're basically on a circle, right? That's the only thing. There's 2 holes, like in the front and the back of the circle, that if you fall in, you're dead. And there's enemies that jump everywhere. And then basically there's this guy, he kind of just abstractly goes anywhere in the circle, like on a forward pattern. And you have to hit him from a certain angle. He has these little orbs that like circle around him. And you have to like time your throw of the enemy to go in between these orbs and like hit him, or you can hit him from the back or the front. It's like a really interesting perspective boss, but it's just really hard because you can get in like 3 max hits on each time, and it'll take probably 3 or 4 times to take him down doing that. And then in between, it'll switch over to this dark world, which is that whole level's gimmick, which was really annoying. But it's cool, but it's also really annoying because the enemies become harder when the dark world switches over. And it's just all a timing thing. That whole level was just ridiculous. So doing the level to get to the guy was ridiculous, and then the guy himself is pretty ridiculous. I got it down eventually to where I had the level down, and I could just like 6 lives. I had like 6 lives by the time I got there or whatever to fight the boss. But it was crazy because like in between when he switches over, once you hit him a few times, there'll be these enemies there that you can't pick up, so you kind of have to just dodge them. But you have to fill in all of the squares on the circle, and there's like probably like 30 of them all together or something. And they switch colors, so like green is like 1 away from going to yellow, and then like blue is 2 away from going to yellow, and then like purple is like 3 away from going to yellow. So you have to keep stepping on these stones while these enemies are here, and the guy's doing his swing attacks, and like he does all these fucking like really insane attacks that like are bound to hit you if you're not like fucking rock solid on your game. And you've only got like 6 hits to take, which is good. I mean, it's better than some games. But yeah, that was probably the hardest fucking boss. I mean, the final boss was nothing compared to that. I mean, not nothing compared to it. It was, not as much compared to. So, yeah, like, dang. Like, that boss was really hard. Most of the other bosses weren't that hard, if I remember correctly. There was this one where you have to, like, kind of jump on these springs to time with the thing, and then you would have to pick up an enemy, jump on the spring so you're, like, up in the air, and then you'd have to throw it down on top of him because this weak spot was on top of him. I thought that was pretty cool. So stuff like that. The bosses are really cool, is my point. They're really unique, and I liked them. Lot of more variety in the bosses than, like, Tomba, where you just kind of throw them into the bag, and that's just it, kind of thing. So I like the bosses. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I talked about everything else, the level design, all that. Obviously, if you've been listening to the music, that's fucking, that's a jam. The whole soundtrack is, like, really a jam. And, yeah, so the music is excellent. It really lives up to the game, and it's probably one of the game's most defining and well done aspects. It really lends some emotional moments to the story and the characters, and lends the right feel to every one of the scenes. There are some like full motion video scenes in here, and they're really well done, and it's just a really impressive like looking game, especially for the time. I already said that, but like the cutscenes are really well done. So yeah, I like the music. I like, I like everything about the game. The only thing is like some of the gameplay stuff. Like I said, there are some like cheap deaths and like the difficulty. Not that I want it to be any less difficult, but I'm just saying like that can be maybe a pain for some people. So yeah, but overall I really enjoyed the game, and I'm really looking forward to the other games in the series, because I do want to play those at some point. I think there was 3 other ones that I can actually play outside of the Wii one, which... Oh god, I feel so stupid because I did have an opportunity to buy that at one point for like $10 or something, and I passed up on it probably multiple times actually, and I always looked for it again and I never saw it, and it made me feel really stupid that I didn't pick it up that time, so, or the multiple times that I saw it, so that sucks. I really would like to have played that. It's like a remake of this one, so. And that's like the last Klonoa game that they made in like 2008. Double Shake, that game that's like the Tomba successor, really feels more like a Klonoa successor now that I've played the game. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, there's not much else to say. Gameplay's solid. The music's really good. The character design and the aesthetic of the game and the cutscenes, that all looks great. Gameplay is fun while challenging. But it's a great game. It's less than $10 on PS3, PSN, so if you have access to that, access to a PS3, which you should, because I mean, like, dude, the PS3 has some of like the best games, and how else are you gonna play all the Metal Gear Solid games, like 4 or whatever? There's so many great games on there. I know a lot of it got remade, but hey, if you're looking for something to buy instead of a PS5, you could buy a PS3 and get Demon's Souls on there, because that's like the only good PS5 game right now anyway, so just saying. I don't know. Anyway, but so yeah, it's really cheap on the PlayStation Network, and I would recommend it. You can always emulate it too. I don't really do that with PS1 games. PS2 I do sometimes, ironically enough, but PS1, most of the games are like available on PSN that I actually like want to play or whatever, but so yeah, I mean, I had a really good time with the game. I'm definitely looking forward to the sequels. I mean, side-scrolling platformers are kind of just like something I love, and I grew up with a lot of them. Mainly the Mario games and stuff like that, and but I just really, I love that genre, so this is a really unique take on that genre, and I would say that it's definitely worth playing. It's a gem. It's a gem. It's a gem. 2 dudes, it's a gem. You gotta play it. No, anyway, I don't know. It's a pretty good game, and I'm gonna give it an 8.6 out of 10. Yeah. So, nice, concise, short review. Not a lot to say about Klonoa. It's a great game, and yeah, I really liked it. So, until next time, it's been JZNES saying keep it classic, stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ